Wow, I am super excited to talk to you guys today about That Darn Cat, which was a 1965 film starring Sin the Cat, who played DC, or Darn Cat. I don't know if you guys saw this before, but just wow. Trust me, check it out. It's awesome. It's great. But did you know that Sin the Cat actually had a brush with death before production that almost made him not available for the film? Or there's an animal equivalent of the Academy Awards. You're probably thinking, Paul, what the F are you talking about? Learn about all this and more as we're hoofing it in Hollywood.
The birds and the beasts are on the screen. They're the ones that you have seen. You've watched them since childhood as they're hoofing it in Hollywood. Some cities slicker, no one is quicker than that darn cat. Welcome everybody to episode 3.
I'm your host, Paul. And with me today, I have my co-host, Audrey.
Oh, I panicked because every time I I'm like, hello. I'm like, okay, Audrey, don't say something dumb. Just say hello. But I was too busy thinking it so that I didn't talk. Can you introduce me again?
Today with me, I have my co-host, Audrey.
Hello.
Jordan.
Hi.
And Melissa.
Hello.
So, yes, we're talking about That Darn Cat in this episode, and I'm going to actually turn it over to Jordan to talk about the film That Darn Cat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, fill facts. Let's go. That Darn Cat was made in 1965. It's a Disney movie directed by Robert Stevenson. Robert Stevenson directed other amazing things such as Old Yeller, Gunsmoke, and Zorro. The movie was written by Gordon Gordon and Mildred Gordon, who actually wrote the original novel, Undercover Cat.
That's a lot of Gordons.
Okay. Then Bill Walsh wrote the screenplay for the movie. Starring Sin the Cat, we got Dean Jones, Dorothy Provine, Roddy McDowell, and Elsa Lanchester. In the lead spot, we have Haley Mills as Patty. And Haley was pretty prolific in Disney at the time. This was her 6th Disney movie. Okay, Haley Mills wrote a book called Forever Young where she talks about her life acting. My favorite story from Forever Young was just talking about she made something like $2 million from the first few years of her life, which her dad and lawyer put into a trust fund for her so that she could access it when she turned 21, all on the up and up. When she turned 21, there was nothing in her trust fund. British Department of Taxation decided that she owed 90% of the $2 million in her trust fund.
What the hell?
Dude, that's
fucked up.
fuck.
Well, now I want to buy your book.
I know.
To
I
help
want to
her
read the book
out.
too because I read a thing about it. I mean, sure, she's fine now. That was like when she was 20. So aside from the actors, the movie, the only thing I could find about how much it cost, it said over $1 million. Not much information there. That's the only thing I could really find. It said over $1 million. It grossed a lifetime of $28 million. So I'd say that was a profit. It did pretty well. I'm guessing with the advent of home video, it did even better afterwards because everybody loved Disney home video. Had a theme song sung by Bobby Darin, the guy responsible for like Splish Splash and Dream Lover. And we'll probably play some of that music.
Are you talking about Splish Splash?
I was taking a bath. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Who knew?
Bobby Darin.
Okay.
We better have a clip of that song put in here or something, man. It is, you can pop your ass to it.
Pop your ass to it.
Wait, to Splish Splash?
No, That Darn Cat.
Definitely both, but more so maybe That Darn Cat.
Twerking to Splish Splash, dude.
Splish Splash off the butt. You know, like if it...
Right.
All right, sorry, Jordan.
No problem.
Continue.
Okay, more fun facts. It was nominated for Best Comedy at the Guild Awards and Laurel Awards. And Haley Mills got nominated for Female Comedy Performance. No winners, but everybody was nominated. Yeah, nobody won anything. The competition that year in 1965 Dr. Zhivago by David Lean. For a few dollars more, classic spaghetti western from Sergio Leone, and The Sound of Music by Robert Wise. That darn cat. So the very beginning of this movie, we're introduced to DC. He's causing all sorts of trouble around town. He's stealing food. He's pissing off dogs, pissing off people. Just kind of a good intro, like montage, seeing this cat go around. That was amazing. Cat. That was a good intro.
The title, when the dog barked, that darn cat, I was like, oh,
yes.
Fuck yeah, I'm in.
That was cool. Yeah, Jordan and I looked at each other and we're like, hell yeah.
We're introduced to a pair of bank robbers named Dan and Iggy. They've taken a woman hostage, Margaret Miller. They're deciding what to do with her. They can't dump the body very close, which is really creepy, because they said that they would get found out. And so while they have her, they just decide to make her cook. Just kind of weird, but
yeah,
like, get her cook, lady.
It becomes like a mom, like
yeah, they call her moms too.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the cat comes in. They see the cat. They think it probably just lives there, and they pretty much ignore it. And so Margaret Miller takes her watch off and scratches. She tries to scratch the word help. She's interrupted, so she only really gets ATL. She puts it on the collar. She puts it on the cat. Shoos the cat away, and the cat runs away with this watch that says help. She's hoping that somebody will see it because she convinced she's probably going to die soon. So the watch is found by Patty, played by Haley Mills, and she immediately knows that it's Margaret Miller, or immediately thinks that it is, and goes directly to the FBI, which is what one would do if they found a lost watch.
Dude, how she pieced that all together was awesome, and I don't even care. Like, that was rad. She just fucking was like, it's got to be aliens. I know it's aliens because it's got fucking slime on it.
I thought it was weird that she immediately went to, well, this is the person that's kidnapped, and they wrote help on this. But they had just been reading newspaper headlines, and I think on the TV that Canoe was watching, they talked about it. So it was in everybody's mind. So, I mean, I guess it would be like us seeing something in the news every single day, and then something happening out of the ordinary. We would kind of just go there, I think. I think that's a natural thing to happen. So I didn't cringe my face too much about that part. What I did cringe about is when she goes to the FBI, and she goes to the FBI office and then just immediately was like, I want to talk to an agent, and then just kind of goes in and talks to an agent.
Oh, I love that, dude.
I did too.
Like, the simplicity of the storytelling was just like a joy to watch. Like, in modern day times, none of that would have worked out, and we would have had to watch how she would have gotten there.
Right.
And it was just awesome that she just, like, she's like, this is what it is. Here's the issue.
Yeah, I really appreciated the simplicity. And I also feel like that was part of the comedy, too, is that, like, of course, this is silly. Like, it, wouldn't happen that way.
So they find that. They call the FBI agent, Kelso. He actually believes her. He thinks that's plausible that somebody scratched that on a cat's, or on a watch, that they scratched help. So he decides to help her. She picks him. She picks him because he's the hottest FBI agent in the room. She's like, that's the guy. He's going to be the one that helps us. She goes in there, just walks into his office and sits down and starts talking to him. We go back to the kidnappers for a while, and it gets kind of creepy. Then they decide they're going to kill Miss Miller soon. And they just keep going back to there to kind of, I think, give you that sense of urgency. That's kind of the only reason, because those robbers are kind of dumb. And the lady doesn't really do much. She tries to burn the place down at one point to get out, but that's all it just keeps going back to them to kind of show that time is progressing and her time is running out. The FBI agent sets up a sting in the older sister Ingrid's room at Patty's house. And also, I didn't mention this, but these are two women. I would say, like, Patty might be like early 20s and Ingrid is probably later 20s. They're both living alone because their parents are off in Europe traveling. And so these two women live in this house by themselves, visited once in a while by some men. We'll also talk about later.
Quite a few men.
So we have George, who is kind of...
Gregory.
Sir
Gregory.
Say that again. Sir Gregory. Okay, Gregory, Ingrid's, I guess, he's a carpool driver. He drives her to work, but he obviously thinks there's more to it than that.
Well, I think she does too, because she goes to kiss him in the one scene.
Oh wait, she does, yeah. The one thing I noticed about George, he was very handsy. He was very
Gregory.
clean.
Wait,
What's going on? I quit. Okay, but then also Patty has a boyfriend, or kind of a boyfriend, who's just a boy that's been hanging around, according to the neighbors, since he was a child. But you could tell that he's totally got a crush on Patty, and Patty just kind of like lets him hang around. But he's also very handsy and very just...
He's a wiener.
He's always trying to get a sandwich, dude. It cracked me up every time.
Yeah, I kind of loved Canoe because he did seem like in the movie they described him as being kind of boyish and like young, and I feel like he played that character perfectly. Like he felt young and
she
boyish.
called him like
and
sticky paper.
Fly paper.
Fly paper. Yep.
Fly paper.
And so she gets this FBI agent to come. He believes her. They set up a sting. They decide that they're going to get FBI agents to follow the cat around, thinking that the cat will probably go back to where it came from. And if it was somebody writing the word help, it will take them to the hostage. And let's see. So they do like 3 different attempts. It's either bungled by the men that come in, or it's bungled by the nosy neighbors, or it's bungled by the ineptitude of some of the FBI members. But for whatever happens, the first time goes through, they don't find the hostage. They try it one more time. They don't find the hostage. The FBI decides, okay, it's probably not really a thing. Patty has to make up a lie to get them to come back and investigate a little bit more. They finally do come back to try to do one more sting. They put a transmitter on the cat's collar, and he follows it himself. Now, this is Kelso that I'm talking about. There's a drive-in movie theater scene where it's basically like a big, long escapade type chase where he's chasing it around. Patty's chasing him, and Patty's boyfriend is chasing her because he's trying to figure out what's going on between her and this other guy that he doesn't know. So it's just this big, long sequence of people running around. But DC goes into where the robbers are. He follows it himself. Now, this is Kelso that I'm talking about. And there's a fight ensues. It really never shows Miss Miller getting rescued, but I'm assuming the hostage was rescued and everything went down fine and happily ever after. Basically, that's the movie in a nutshell. At the very end, we see DC and a cute fluffy cat and 3 kittens walking into the sunset.
Yeah, dude. He's been slinging dick, dude.
Gross.
Hey, it's life, man. It's a beautiful thing. Those cats are beautiful.
They are. I loved it. I think I've seen it as a kid because I really remember this chase where he falls in the pool and then like the squishy sneakers. I remember that scene very vividly. That's about all I remember. So this was pretty much the first time I've seen it all the way through that I can remember. And I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was so good. I was finding myself wishing that, our kids were a little older so we could watch it now because I think I want to show it to them someday.
You definitely should. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, no, I thought the movie was amazing. I had never seen it before. I feel like I've heard of it, but never watched it as a kid. Going into it, I was a little like iffy just because of the time period for it, I guess. And I do feel like there was some of that outdatedness in it, but overall, again, being an adult now and watching it for the first time, it was still very enjoyable.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was very fresh for being like a 1965 film. The comedy was like really on point. The only issues I had was it was just a little long.
Yeah. I was really impressed with the women in the film for the age of the film.
Yeah.
Like they were
Me too,
all
I said that.
the writing was great. They were all very
like progressive,
driven, independent, doing their own things.
That's why I like Patty, dude.
Impressed. Yeah.
When she called out her sister for being like passive and just like, you're gonna settle, don't settle. It was just like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, I told Jordan it was my kind of movie. Yeah. Strong women and, an amazing cat.
Yeah.
That's all you need for a good movie.
Yep. 100%.
All right, Jordan, you got anything else?
That's all, ball.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to myself to talk about Sin the Cat. What's that? It's Creature Chronicles. Honestly, guys, I was considering renaming this segment to Rabbit Holes because everything I kept searching just kept like yielding more and more treasure that didn't quite relate to Sin, but did. If you hear me get on a little bit of a tangent, just bear with me. I feel like there's a lot of good, interesting stuff coming this way. So to start, we're going to talk about Sin the cat. He is a Siamese cat. I want to talk a little bit about the breed because I want you to know like who he is on an animal level, and you can kind of keep that in the back of your mind when we start talking about his career. So Siamese cats, they're native to Thailand. They became popular in North America in the 19th century. Their personality, they are highly social. They excavate ground. They have like a digging machine.
What?
Hell yeah.
They excavate your heart.
They excavate your heart.
Oh.
But they are extroverted and outgoing, and they're also known for being loyal, kind of like a duck. Like once they imprint on you, they follow you everywhere, basically.
Is my cat part Siamese? Because he's up my butt 24/7.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe, dude.
He is. He follows me around. He's my shadow.
So is Peony, my cat.
The last thing I was going to say is they're known for talking a lot, and they actually have a nickname called Measers because they have a low-pitched cat call that's very high volume. And so this is a sample of a Siamese or a Measer talking.
Wow.
Really quickly, speaking of cat meows, I did find on there, there was some weird reference that showed use of stock sounds, and it showed a meow that was used in there. And I went to that meow and found that meow has been used in over 80 other films and like 100 TV shows.
It's like the Wilhelm meow.
It's like the Wilhelm meow. It must be. This is what the meow sounds like. Crazy, huh?
Oh, no way. I've heard that.
This sounds like a cat. Yeah, you've probably heard it before.
I love that.
All right, so I'm going to move on to the history of Sin Cat. He was born in Ontario, California, to two owners, and sadly, they dropped him off at a pound because they thought he was too standoffish. I think it's kind of ridiculous because, like, I know they're supposed to be, like, cool cats, but it's a cat, too. Like,
I feel like all cats are a little
right?
standoffish.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
So around the same time, Bill Koehler, he is a dog trainer who gets dogs trained for films. He got a task to try to find a cat for a film. And so he went to the pound that Sin Cat was at, and he looked at about 25 different cats, and then he found Sin. And he very loosely describes their first interaction. And they basically said they looked into each other's eyes and they just both knew.
Oh, they both knew.
There we go.
And so he ends up spending a lot of time with Bill Koehler because he is a trainer, and productions that Sin is in, he's all trained by Bill. Apparently he took to acting quick, so kudos for him. So let's talk a little bit about the films he was in. The first role he was in, he played the role Towel in The Incredible Journey in 1963. Because we cannot get out of Homeward Bound's ass. We have to talk about it every single episode.
It's just always going to be there, yep.
This is standard. That's why we did it first.
But yeah, so he was the main cat in The Incredible Journey, but he did have some cat backups. And from what I learned on the set, he was supposedly like kind of a huge asshole to Bodger, who was the bull terrier. He would hiss at him just like a bunch throughout the filming of it. They even went so far as to like make them walk in order when they were filming because they wanted to control the chaos. They wanted to make sure that like they were separated.
Oh, wow.
But like one random day, they decided to change it up and they told Sin to like hop on a fence while the two dogs were walking on the ground. And I don't know what Sin experienced on that fence. Like if he had like a reawakening, but the moment he came down, he was like best friends with that bull terrier.
I read that he was really on the fence about the bull terrier, and then he got off the fence and was like, he's not so bad.
Yeah. So this is where we talk about his brush with death was actually in The Incredible Journey. One day they went to go get him and the other cat actors, and when they went into the room that they were in, they were all laying down on the ground still. They weren't dead, but they were in a real bad state, and after a couple of days, they were still in that bad state. They ended up taking some vitamin K shots and like injecting the cats, and that brought them back to health. But the reasoning for this is because they were being poisoned chemically. The property owner, who owned the land that the film crew was shooting on, he used a chemical called sheep dip.
Sorry, it's not wine. Sheep dip.
Sheep dip to make sure that there weren't like parasites like lice, ticks, or blowflies getting on the animals. It was like completely pure of heart, but it had a negative effect and basically almost wiped out all the cats, which was wild.
Oh my God.
Poor kitties.
No, it was crazy. And that was one of the rabbit holes I went down learning about sheep dip. So let's talk about his second film, which was That Darn Cat in 1965. So to prepare for this role, he was trained for 3 months prior to the filming, and he took to it naturally. He was a great actor. Bill Koehler was actually quoted in the Peninsula Times-Tribune saying that Sin the Cat was so awesome, he put us ahead of schedule. His performance astounded production personnel. Sin and Haley Mills actually bonded as well during rehearsals. She would cradle him in her lap, and Sin would respond by kneading her, licking her, and giving her head bonks.
There was absolutely one scene where you can see him making biscuits on her shoulder when she's carrying him around. He's like,
that.
There was a scene where he was being just ornery in her arms, and she just stopped and looked at him, and you could tell that it was kind of like not a part of the movie.
No, it looked like he legit hurt her.
Yeah.
She winced.
She was like, oh.
But yeah, I feel like you could tell that they had a relationship, and like she kind of just handled him, I don't know, like not crazily, but again, you could just tell she was familiar with him. He was familiar with her.
Comfortable is what I would say. Yeah, she seemed very like she wasn't like I don't want to hold it.
She wasn't afraid to like move. Yeah.
She handled him like a child. Like there were parts where he was just fucking around, and then she was just
like it was her cat. Right?
Yep. So, just to kind of cap off his life, he is passed away, unfortunately. I couldn't find how or where, but it's been over 60 years. Yeah. But like, I found he had like a net worth estimated over $25,000.
Wow.
Dang.
Which is crazy. Yeah, he was a rich cat. To remember Sin Cat, we're going to remember what he liked to do. These were Sin's hobbies. They reportedly included perpendicular tree trunk walking, which I think is a fancy way of just saying climbing up a tree, refrigerator and back porch poaching, fence hopping, garbage inspection, hide and seek, neighborhood touring, and alley ball, which I don't know what that is, if he was hanging out with orphans in an alley playing stickball.
Kicking a ball around, in an alleyway.
Oh, and I forgot, closed claw horseback riding. What was that?
Oh, you have a video of that?
I would love to see a photo of that.
So let's talk a little bit about his legacy. There's not too much going on except for he was the Patsy Award winner in 1966 for Picture Animal Top Star of the Year. What are the Patsy Awards? It's basically the Academy Awards for animals. I didn't know that this actually existed. It blew my mind while I was going down this rabbit hole. But apparently back in 1939, the American Humane Association started the Patsy Awards after a horse was killed during the filming of the film Jesse James. I'm not sure why it took 1951 to actually get the awards going, but there's a little bit of a gap there. And it was popular enough that they actually had Ronald Reagan host the first award ceremony, which the award went to Francis the Talking Mule. And in the 70s, it was televised, but sadly, I couldn't find any clips of it. I did find an ad about the Patsies, though, that I'm going to play right now.
To Devonshire Downs at Northridge, California for the annual Patsy Awards. To Francis, star of Francis Join the Wax, among others. Patsy is short for Picture Animal Top Stars of the Year. Chill Will's Francis' voice,
This
and
is
lovely
like,
Ruth
if you
Hampton
just showed this out
join
of
in the fun
context
as
to
Francis
somebody.
and his friend indulge in a bit of horseplay.
Is that Mr. Ed?
No, Junior, they weren't talking about you.
Just kidding.
So wait, are the Patsy Awards still around, or was it just like a back then thing?
It was shut down in 1986, so it was the year I was born, and I think they were making room for me or
It was
something.
your fault, Paul.
Yeah. That's all I got. So I'm now going to turn it over to Audrey to talk about movie magic.
Get ready for movie magic.
Yeah, here we go. So, movie magic. This one is going to be kind of difficult because I really couldn't find that much. Things weren't documented in the same way in the 1960s as they were in some of the later movies that we've done. Here are some things that I could find actually in articles or wherever. First of all, there was one article where Bill Koehler was talking about Sin's disposition in general, and he talked about the incredible journey in the scene with the bear. And he was talking about how, we were like, how are we going to get him to hiss at this bear? But then it was like, well, Sin would naturally oppose anything from a gopher to the National Guard. So, of course, a bear was no problem. So that made me think of this movie because Sin hisses a lot.
I was going to say, I wondered how they got him to do that on command or however they did, because that was impressive.
And I'm thinking maybe from judging by this, quote, it sounds like he just is kind of he'll take whatever on. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting is that there's one story that goes to show how much things have changed in the way that they film things. Because if you remember when we talked about Homeward Bound, the newer one, when we reviewed in episode 1, you'll remember there was a lot of first we had the chicken run across the screen, and then we had the dog run across the screen, a lot of separation of animals so that predator and prey were never together. But then there was an incident where they were trying to get Sin to hiss. And so they showed him a pigeon or something, and then he swatted it and hurt the pigeon, attacked it. So that just goes to show that apparently that it was a later phenomenon to keep prey and predator separate from one another.
Maybe after that one scene.
Yeah, Sin destroyed a freaking pigeon.
I had read that blood got on Haley and the other lead actor as well. So he must have taken that pigeon to task, dude. Exploded him.
Kind of sad. Speaking of blood, one of the things you can notice with your eyes is how they did the really advanced makeup for Agent Kelso? How they did the really advanced makeup for Agent Kelso and his cat scratches, which truly looked like just a magic marker.
That's so scary. It looked,
I screenshotted that. Yeah. I'll put it in the transcript.
Also, not an authentic reaction to a cat scratch because that stings for hours afterwards.
Does. Yep.
I did wonder, with as much as Sin's claws appeared to be out, I wondered how they were not covered in scratches all the time. I'm sure that was part of the movie magic. Maybe he wasn't as close to scratching them as it looked like sometimes, but yeah. Other things that you could just notice, you may have seen that there were areas where the footage was very clearly sped up to make things like chase scenes appear faster.
No. They just moved that fast. Come on.
There were clearly many different cats. We know this from what we read, but also some of them had really huge balls and other ones either had no balls or small balls. So...
Okay, I noticed that. Because I said something to Jordan at the beginning. I think it's the beginning montage with the song and everything. And I was like, man.
Why did they keep his balls?
Those nutsacks,
some big old balls.
He does. And I'm pretty sure the scenes that I assume were Sin, because he was being held a bunch, I'm pretty sure it was a big bald cat. And then some of the stunt double cats were smaller bald cats.
So that's how they classified them, nutsacks.
Bring me a small ball.
Bring me one of them small balls.
I got a job for a small ball over here.
What if you were in charge of finding cats and that was you had to feel their nuts?
Why? Why would you have to feel them? Just use your eyes.
Okay, you look at their nuts.
In
That's fine.
every
Whatever.
episode, Paul is all up on these animals' business.
How do I sign up for this job? Just kidding.
Jesus. So this movie, like I said, was challenging because since it's older, there isn't as much out there to find on the internet. But I found out there's an old book called The Wonderful World of Disney Animals by Bill Koehler. So I was able to dig up some information that I didn't think I'd be able to dig up. One of the challenges that they had in That Darn Cat is that they needed Sin to make a lot of precise movements, like to precise places. You know how he would just jump all over the place from thing to thing. They needed to get him to do precise movements, which he could respond to a bell. That's how they got him to move a lot of places. But this was like very specific things. They figured out that he would also respond to the bell played through a speaker, which is interesting because apparently not all animals will do that. Like it makes a different enough sound. He required a little bit of retraining, but not a ton, to realize that like, hey, this bell coming through a speaker is the same as the bell when it's being rung. So they were able to put little speakers around. And they put them in a lot of places, like under different objects on a table, different sides of the table, under Haley Mills' blouse.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there was one point where they referenced putting it in her shirt to get him to go to her.
Oh, wow.
Even though he wanted to go to her most of the time anyway, it was like, you know, they needed him to go right to her for a scene.
How big are these speakers? I'm thinking of like, you know, like a wall mount or something.
I think like a cigar box, I think is the comparison that he made.
Oh.
They called it a core, a sound wire to a small console about the size of a large cigar box.
Okay, so not huge, but not tiny like what we're used to nowadays.
Yeah. The next challenge was, how do we get him to stop at a very specific spot on like an open lawn? So they went through this big process where the shop people built him this like plywood riser to put the speaker core under so it wouldn't muffle the sound so much. But after a bunch of trial and error, they found that even when there were mats over the speaker cores, he still responded to it pretty well. And Bill Koehler noted in the book that they learned a lot about cats and how they respond from this type of work. He talks repeatedly about how they learn things about animal behaviors that otherwise we don't know, or like their ability to sense things, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the next challenge was, how do we get him to look high up or like at a person's face? And they figured out that they could put the speaker core at the end of a pole and like dangle it over someone. And taught him that if he would look and stare at it, he would get a treat. So he learned how to stare at the speaker core in different locations.
That's pretty neat.
Is like basically everything just speaker cores?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like all they use to have them do stuff? That's insane.
It was just like bells everywhere. Can you guess at one of the most challenging scenes in the movie for them to film?
Was it the scene with him grabbing, was it a duck that was hanging up?
Yes, but no, it wasn't that scene.
Oh.
Was it the dog scene at the very beginning?
No, it wasn't that one. Jordan, do you have a guess?
The paw print part was my guess.
Okay, no, it wasn't that either. Here is the part that was the hardest. Getting him to run into that spout in the alley. Do you remember when he was running away from the FBI agents and he has to run into a spout?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like, no problem, easy peasy. We can get him to run fast from one location to the next. Just ring the bell. It's fine. Wouldn't do it. And people were like, what do we do? He won't run into this fucking spout. Finally, one of the other animal trainers was like, put a light in there. And they did. And he immediately did it. And so this is another thing that they learned. It wasn't that he was like afraid of the dark or anything. It's just that it took his eyes a minute to adjust. And so he like wasn't seeing it because of the change in light from where he was running.
That makes sense.
So they just didn't account for that.
Cat and anime, dude.
Yeah, who knew? So anyway, it's just like little fun facts there that I learned from the book.
I was going to bring up, and I didn't write down the timestamp for it, but there was one part where he was on the bed and it was a pretty fast shot because like I had to have Jordan rewind it a couple of times and pause it where you could clearly tell it was like
I have
a
a
stuffed cat.
I
Did you guys
screenshotted
see
that.
part?
That was, thank you for reminding me.
Okay, yeah.
So there was one point where you could definitely notice a stuffed cat, and it was at one point he was like on the bed in the background and he was very clearly stuffed. It almost looked like a dog.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, They made that stuffed cat like too big, like he looked big.
So the only bit of movie magic that I like pulled out, and it's very near and dear to my heart, is apparently Haley, the actress, was a nail biter, so she bit her nails all the time, and she couldn't get her hands in the shot, so they had to use a bunch of like hand stunt doubles.
No, I read that too, and I was like, what?
I would have been soulmates with her. I would have been soulmates with her because we could have chewed each other's fingers. Sorry.
No, thank you.
Do you have anything else, Audrey?
That's all I got. That's the end of my
All right, that's all you got. I'm going to turn it over to Melissa to do some fun stuff.
All aboard for audience anecdotes. I have to sneeze. I'm gonna mute really quick. So it's that time again. It's time for our animal review of Sin the Cat. And I was thinking for this episode's rating scale, I was bouncing around on a couple ideas, but I think I definitely want to use the inked paw print scale or inky paw print, however you want to say that. And I'm thinking out of 5 inked paw prints, how would you rate Sin the Cat's performance as DC? I'll just jump in and go first, give you guys a little bit of time to mull that over, but he, for me, 100% 5 inked paw prints out of 5. He stamped them all over my face and my heart.
Listen, there's no question. There's no question. 5 ink paw prints, which I think would make the sound.
That's I mean, I kind of agree. It's a little weird sounding, but kind of like Canoe's shoes after he got out of the pool. But yeah, so my big thing is, it's just, I don't know how somebody can train a cat to do all those things that well. So 5 inked paw
5
prints
big
for
old
me.
ball sets for me.
Oh no. 5 big old bald cats. Anyways, somebody else take it away.
How can we follow that? 5 ink paw prints for me as well. I love the cat. I don't know what else to say. I've said a lot about him already. He was really good. I can't find anything wrong with him.
I'll give him 5 paw prints. He was excellent. I mean, he always looked like a cat, which was awesome. And like huge shout out to Haley as well, because she treated him like a cat and handled him like a cat. And I feel like the chemistry between the two of them like really helped. It was kind of like a yin and a yang for me. Not trying to take anything away from Sin. He was fantastic, but I don't know. The two of them together was believable. He was a cat first and foremost, and not like a trained animal. So it was cool.
Yep. 5 paw prints for the cat. 5 shitty fingernailed handprints from Haley Mills.
5 bitten fingernails from
Hey,
Haley.
you're saying that my fingernails are shitty, and I think I take offense to that, maybe. I don't know how I feel about that.
Stop biting your fingernails.
Okay, I have 5 offstandishness marks for Paul.
Have you been thinking about that the whole time we've been friends?
About your offstandishness?
No, about my fingers. My shitty fingers.
I've never even noticed your shitty fingers.
Wait. Look at them.
I never knew you thought you had bad fingernails. And I've known you for a long time.
I don't. I just thought I found a soulmate through time, so.
Well, I thought all the acting in this movie was excellent, honestly.
Yeah, just super quick side tangent. Everyone was trying super hard. Like, it was amazing.
100% agreed. The acting was great. I think even for the time, and again with the whole slapstick kind of vaudeville type humor in comedy, like everybody was just on point. They brought their A game. It was very entertaining to watch. All right, we're going to move on to our audience reviews. These reviews I'm going to read, normally I take from Rotten Tomatoes, but then I also believe I have one from Amazon. So the first review I'm going to read is from Amazon from somebody named Sean J. Malloy. And this was from November 3rd, 2023. So not, pretty much a year ago. He gave it 5 stars and said, "I'd forgotten how funny this movie is after all these years. And except for the inescapable bits of life in the early 1960s," so that's sort of what I touched on, "the film is timeless and LOL funny. The film will delight most jaded 21st century of all ages."
No, I like the term jaded there because I feel like we are jaded, and like it was a breath of fresh, dude.
A breath of fresh?
Yeah, I'm using that now. Breath of
No,
fresh.
you're not.
Don't
I kind of weirdly
I
like
hate
that.
don't yuck my yam, Aud. Quit yucking my yam.
You're
Yam. That's not even right.
Is
Quit
Paul
yucking
from
my
the
yam.
1960s?
I think Paul might be
What's-
from like the 25,000s or something.
Oh, quit yucking my yum. That's what it is.
Yes,
Quit
it's
yucking my
yum.
yum.
It's not yam.
Yam is funnier though.
I'm going to
Quit
start saying
yucking
yucky
my
yam
back.
Potato.
100%.
Yucking my yam sounds like a code word for sucking D. Anyways, last review I have is from Rotten Tomatoes from January 15th, 2020. So I believe that's the newest one that I had down. And somebody gave it 3 stars out of 5 and said, "Long cat is a tad overly long and you might feel yourself drifting towards a cat nap in parts. But the mischievous Moggy in the middle has fun with this family yarn, outshining the 2-legged co-stars."
Wait. No. Oh, wait, the 2-legged co-stars are people. Okay, I understand.
But what is a muggy? They said this mischievous or moggy in the middle. Moggie.
Moggy, I'm gonna look it up. Oh, Moggy is a cat. It's a British slang for a cat.
We're just dumb. That's basically it.
So the Moggy in the middle. That's how you have to say it.
Perfect. So yeah, that was it for the review section of my part, and we're gonna jump to everybody's favorite surprise scenario. See what you guys are thinking for this one. So, I ask you, if you were an FBI agent cat like DC, what would be your secret mission to help out your human?
Jesus Christ.
So you're DC, you're a secret agent, FBI agent. But you gotta help what would be your secret mission to like help out your human? And again, I can go first to give you guys time to think. Okay, because I kind of came up with something. So I just thought now this isn't like super crazy important, but I thought it would be fun to help my human when, when you're doing something like go in the bathroom and you're like, "Hey, I'm out of TP. I need somebody to bring me that sweet TP." You're stuck on the shitter and you need it. Or if you're taking a shower.
Why did you say sweet TP?
So wait. So you're an FBI cat.
That's okay.
Your job is to get crapper paper.
Yes, and I said sweet TP because, you gotta wipe with something, right? Like, don't you want that TP?
Why is it sweet? Why is it flavored toilet paper? I don't...
It's not sweet taste.
Like sweet,
It's
like
just,
that, slang.
Yeah, you buy that good, really soft, strong, durable toilet paper. It feels good on your tush.
I don't know if I would refer to it as sweet.
I think everybody has.
Okay, so Melissa the FBI cat is gonna fetch toilet paper.
Yes, but hold on. And I was also thinking of times when you're taking a shower and maybe you forget to grab a towel. So I would like sneak in as the FBI cat. I know it doesn't make sense, but this is just what I came up with. Okay, so I would bring my
Were you in the bathroom thinking about this? Is that how in case?
God damn it!
You were in the restroom.
You ran
called me
out of
out.
toilet paper and were like, "Man, if I was an FBI cat, this is what I would do."
Because you didn't have any sweet toilet paper.
Good job.
Give me that sweet, sweet TP. No, I don't know. Don't ask. It's just what popped into my head. So,
Oh wow.
your secret mission doesn't have to be like of the utmost important, but
That's pretty important, especially if you're a human.
that's how I feel too, though. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
My FBI cat would... Okay, so follow me on this. Cooking takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. What if I could get an FBI cat to just get the ingredients for me and like sous chef it? That's what I would use him for.
No, he's fetching the ingredients.
Yeah, fetching ingredients,
Okay,
and then
yeah, well.
I let him cut up stuff. I'm cool with that.
But like, what if you went to, the butcher and got your meat and then grabbed it and just like dragged it all the way along the ground home?
Hey,
Cool
as long
with-
as he gets it in the freezer so that I can come back to it later, I'm fine with that. If he's leaving it on the front porch in the sun, no go, dude.
Okay, I'll go. You guys know the problems I've been having with wild animals in my backyard. Deer eating all of our garden vegetables, and we have wild cats running through and terrorizing our cats. So my FBI cat would go on a stakeout just like DC did, but he'd be staking out deer. And when the deer came, he would shoot them in the face.
Oh,
That's it. That's all he would do.
hell yeah, then our
Deer
tomatoes would be
killer
safe.
Machine, and we're going to eat tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchini all summer long, baby.
If I had to do something around the house, like, because it sounds like you were all based in the house, I would trick all the stray cats into coming close to me and then take them to the vet to get spayed or neutered.
Oh, I kind of love
That's not
that.
a
So
bad
I'd be
idea,
like,
yeah.
I kinda love
undercover
that.
cat, getting rid of your balls and stuff.
That's a good PSA. Get your cat spayed or neutered, please. Especially if they're like outdoor cat. But
Yeah, dude, don't contribute to that shit.
Do you think all your friends would hate you after that, though? Because you're kind of like the snitch cat.
I mean, it's the price I have to pay as an undercover FBI agent. I'm a snitch on your balls.
Yeah.
So,
The departed for a cat.
Snitch on the big bald cats out roaming the
yeah,
neighborhood.
I'm sorry. At least I'm not like taking my claw and doing it myself. That's option 2.
Oh,
Oh, hey. Earlier I was saying you had the job to try to find out who had the cat balls. Your cat would do that,
there you go.
basically. He would find the balls and then chop them.
That's
Yeah.
your secret mission. Your secret agent mission. It all came for full circle.
The
there.
zeitgeist, yo.
Yeah.
Great job, guys. I'm really liking those answers.
I also do this as a 2-legged animal where I take cats and get them neutered. I've done that before.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you hunt other men down and cut off their balls.
Whoa! So that's what Audrey
I
does
do
in her
that.
free time.
I do that with 2 legs. I find other 2-leg people.
No, I have had cats neutered before. I'm not taking my garden loppers and lopping off balls.
We know what Audrey does on the weekends. All right, guys, that was insane, but super fun. Thank you for answering my surprise scenario. So the very last section we've got, guys, is adopt, take to the no-kill shelter, or taxidermy. So I noticed I've been running into like a little bit of an issue with us doing movies with one animal. So I think you guys last time sort of on the fly improvised, picking out some other characters. So I sort of went that route with this movie. But I'm going to go with,
And which 3 are the
Yeah, what
characters?
3 are we
that we're
doing?
so I was going to go
Okay.
with Darn Cat or DC, Canoe, just because I didn't really like him, and Gregory.
Oh, I mean, this is easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Ballsy squeezies. Obviously, I'm going to adopt DC without question. I will get him neutered so that he's not having more kittens all over the neighborhood.
Good idea.
I'm taking Canoe to the no-kill shelter. I like Canoe. He's adorable. He needs to grow up. And I'm taxidermying Gregory because he's a dickhole. So that's where that's it. That's
Okay, I pretty much then am agreeing, I think, with what everybody said too. With what Audrey said, I would adopt a cat, and Canoe was not so bad. He was a little bit much, but yeah, he needs to go to the shelter. He'll find somebody to adopt him. And then, yeah, Gregory was a menace. And Gregory is just going to be taxidermied and just collecting dust somewhere forever.
I like DC a lot, but I think I would take Canoe. I would adopt him because I feel like you could bro out and have a lot of fun. I don't know how to surf. He could teach me
Okay.
how to surf.
right,
I think
all right.
that would be pretty cool. I do like DC, but I think Canoe would be a fun time. And honestly, we've got a sandwich shortage in this household, and I would love to have someone on board for sandwiches again. So,
Oh, yes. That's a very
that's
Paul
a
thing.
personal favorite for me, and I don't get to partake a lot. And so I would also taxidermy Gregory because fuck that guy. So I would put DC in your guys' no-kill shelter. Because in this scenario, you guys have one, so you would be able to take them and do what you want.
Speaking of sandwiches, I think one of my favorite lines from the whole movie is when she was like, and you can come in and make a big weird sandwich.
Tell you what, let's go into the kitchen and you can make yourself a big weird sandwich.
Yes, I laugh at that.
It was so cute.
I know, but I want to know what to her is a weird sandwich, but that was very cute.
You can make one of your big old weird sandwiches.
Now Paul wants you to say that to him, Audrey.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Come into the kitchen and make yourself a big weird sandwich.
I also thought that was really funny. I guess I'm going to be lame, just kidding, and agree with Jordan and Audrey on this one. I would definitely adopt DC. I would take Canoe to the no-kill shelter. And yeah, Gregory would get taxidermy, and I don't really know what I would do with him. I kind of liked Audrey's idea of him being like a... I want a scratching post for... Just kidding. I know you didn't say that, but just like decoration. I don't know. I don't know what I would do with him.
Post for DC.
Maybe I'd mail Gregory back to his mom or
it's
something.
so
I don't know. Then she could have him forever.
She gets a freeze-dried human like the carbonite.
I was to say, what if we freeze dry him and then DC scratches him into little like freeze dry strips?
Perfect. We're on that again.
We have a new brand of freeze-dried food we want you guys to try.
Yeah.
It's called Sir Gregory's.
You'll be able to find that on the TikTok shop. Just kidding.
I bet you call it scrambled Greggs.
No.
Scrambled Greggs.
Oh, it's scam.
Oh.
I'll have an eggs and Greggs.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's all I got for my section. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode. It was a blast.
Now go make yourself a big weird sandwich.
I hope you make yourself a big weird sandwich and enjoy the night. That film was awesome. But if you stick around with us next month, we're going to go with a Halloween theme. We're going to be reviewing the 2019 film Pet Sematary. We want to keep the spooky vibes going for October. So if you like this show, we'll just ask that you like, subscribe, review, comment, do whatever you can to get the word out because we like producing it and you can only help us grow. Check out our website for our transcripts and a lot of extra fun content. And yeah, thank you, Melissa, Jordan, Audrey, for joining me. This was a blast. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Hoofin' It in Hollywood. This podcast has been produced by Paul, Audrey, Melissa, and Jordan. Please note that this content is intended for entertainment purposes only. We are not professional researchers, and the views and opinions expressed are our own. For more information and links to the resources mentioned in this episode, please check the show notes or visit our website at bit.ly/Hoofin-Hollywood. If you found this episode enjoyable and wish to support the podcast, we kindly ask you to like, subscribe, and leave a rating or review on your preferred podcast platform.